Hi, Denver Startup Week. I'm Tammy Dorr, President and CEO of the Downtown Denver Partnership and co-founder of Denver Startup Week. Denver Startup Week is the largest free entrepreneurial event in the world, and it's only possible thanks to the support of our sponsors. We have nearly 40 sponsor companies who contribute to Denver Startup Week and make it possible. Let's show our love for these companies today and all week long. Thanks to our title sponsors, the Downtown Denver Partnership, JP Morgan Chase, Prologis, and Zero, and our track sponsors who help make the great content you're hearing today possible. Battery 621 and the Public Works, Capital One Cafe, Colorado Lending Source, Friday Health, Quizlet, Exactly, Zayo, and Zestful. Our headline event sponsors are bringing you inspiration from around the country. Thank you to Wix, Kenzen, MAPR Agency, Obsidian HR, Kickstart Fund, Promontory Mortgage, Molson Coors, and Comcast. And finally, thank you to our partner and member sponsors. They're all listed on the screen. Thank you for your support of Denver Startup Week. Now, let's get to it.
It's time for a whole new way to think about sales planning, execution, and optimization. To let go of old habits and embrace a data-driven mindset. Our revolutionary approach to sales performance management will get your sales unstuck and fundamentally transform your business to create lasting success. It's time to unleash your true sales power.
All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Denver Startup Week. I'm John Wilker with 360 Conferences. I'm the Spotlight and Headline Events track chair and a part of the organizing committee. Thank you for joining us for our first ever virtual Denver Startup Week and this session, creating an out of this world community. If 2020 has taught us anything, it's that we are more powerful when we come together as a community and share ideas that help make each other better. And here we are, virtually showing what Denver is made of. At Denver Startup Week, we strive to make all of our sessions a space where attendees can connect, learn, and grow, regardless of gender identity, gender expression, race, ability, sexual orientation, and the combination of those identities. There is something for everyone at DSW. Thank you for joining us. Again, thank you to Zachary for being such an awesome partner. DSW would not be possible without them. And with that, I will hand it off to Julie and Jamie for this awesome session.
Thank you, John. Hi, Jamie. Good morning. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
You all. Actually, we can't see you all, but it's great to see you virtually in the chat function. Feel free to ask questions, share ideas. Also, feel free to put in your contact information just to network with each other of who's here and a part of this community and this conversation today.
Great. Well, thanks, Julie. It's all J names, Julie, John, and Jamie. Let's rock. So hi, everybody. I'm Jamie Stevens. I am the Workplace Experience and Culture Manager for Skupos. And I'm super excited to be here today.
And I'm Julie Boardman. I lead the People, Place, and Culture team at Skupos. So let's get started.
Let's do it. Wow, a lot on that screen, Julie.
A lot. And this is sometimes how we start our one-on-ones, right, Jamie, is with this sense of awe. We could not have imagined that 2020 would shape up as it has, and it continues. You know, what started as a virus grows into a pandemic, grows into social justice and inequalities and new regulations, all kinds of things. And really businesses shutting down overnight and our world changing overnight. Now, Jamie, you joined us in February at Skupos, and we hired you for one thing, and COVID struck in March, and you ended up doing something else. Tell us a little bit about your experience and that shock to the system?
Yeah, absolutely. So maybe like some of you, I started a new awesome job at the end of February. So I was in office for 3 weeks, where I really got to dive in and learn about the physical space and needs of Skupos, and the culture. But then all of a sudden, this pivot, right, of COVID came, and we had to take all 140 employees across 2 different locations, fully remote. And don't you remember when it was like, maybe we'll do this till Memorial Day, right? Maybe 2 months max. But now we're in month 7 of that. And so really, Julie, what I've learned is to pivot, be really flexible and agile, keep a good pulse on the team, by connecting, having micro moments with the team and authentic connections, and really trying to predict what is it that our company is going to need next. Because as you and I know in our one-on-ones that we've invited, I think like 80 people to today, it changes every week. And so I'm really just excited to share some of the learnings that we've had today.
Sounds great. All of this, when you think about all these external forces and the constant pivoting, and all of this is challenging, has been challenging our sense of community, really our definition of community. I think we started with a pretty naive sense of community and a classic definition that really was around a group of people who have a common interest and or a shared characteristic, like the tech community is a community. And what we're discovering, and has really led us to the work that we've been doing, is this notion that that classic definition has been missing a critical piece. And that is the piece right in the middle of this, is the relationship piece. What we've been trying to really lean into is creating a sense of caring for each other, and a sense that we feel like we belong together. And that is, I think, more challenging, certainly in a virtual world and with all the things hitting us externally.
Absolutely. And now let's pulse check on our well-being. Since this is all about community and helping the people on this call really create an out of this world community, let's hear with what has your community or yourself been struggling with? And so I am going to do a quick poll. Stand by. And don't worry, you can select all of them or more than one. So what has your community struggled with? We'll give it about 30 seconds, Julie. I'll let you know when people are coming in.
This is great. I love seeing this real time.
I know, right? Okay, I will end the poll shortly.
Okay, last 5 seconds.
Great, so the poll's closed. Thank you for those who did vote. You really do see isolation taking the lead here, which I guess it's bad to say that isolation is the leader, the winner, because it's definitely the loser. And then followed by loneliness, anxiety, stress. We see a lot of burnout, Zoom fatigue, and then a small amount of sadness as well. So this is great. This is exactly what we're going to be talking about today, is how to enhance our community within the workplace. So we will be tackling all of these.
And it's within this context of these emotions and well-being and these external forces that Skupos exists. So we wanted to give you a quick intro to Skupos in case you don't know who we are. We are a data platform for convenience retail. And our technology is focused on really uniting this fragmented independent C-store, we call it C-store, but it's convenience store market, and allowing brands to better understand sales data and to reach their end consumers everywhere. And what's incredible about Skupos, and we'll get more into it in the culture piece, is our team is really passionate about this mission and about our customers.
Great. So a few stats about our company. We were founded in 2016. We've had over 230% headcount growth since 2019. 140 employees, as you can see, 31 average age, 15 months average tenure, and then we're about 60-40 for gender there. And then also what's exciting is 48% of our leadership positions are filled by females and then 52% for male. And again, we have 2 offices, one in San Francisco and one in Denver. But in this remote world, we're all definitely one, Julie.
It's for sure. And then prior to kind of the world shifting and our work world shifting in March, we were primarily, I would say, in somewhat a typical tech startup office vibe, on-site, in-person centric, fun, playful, casual. And part of our DNA is certainly scrappiness, doing a lot of things without a lot of resources and being agile. So pivoting quite a bit as well. So passionate, hardworking. And what I find also has been interesting about Skupos is that we've been really collaborative. And it's a part of our DNA to not be competitive with each other, but be collaborative and be competing in the marketplace to provide the best possible customer and product that we can.
Great. Well, let's dive in. How did we do this? And how are we still doing it? Great. So, and it's in this context that we really challenged ourselves to elevate what our pre-COVID sense of community was, and how do we elevate outside of this world as we move into this remote first environment overnight. So our goal was to elevate, not just maintain, our culture, engagement, and social connections. So we truly came together as a company and accessed our special powers, if you will, represented by this awesome, fearless girl on the screen. And in the coming slides, we will share what we have and what we are doing, and also what we think might be next, and conclude with special ingredients to social connection. And we will be, leading here, hoping that you will recognize the inner superhero within you.
So once we kind of put a stake in the ground of that we wanted to elevate and not just survive as a business, which was really important too, but also elevate our community and our culture, then the next step for us was really to think about, well, what does this look like? What does an out of this world community look like for us? And so here's some things that we really leaned into. One of the things that we struggled with is really this sense of Denver versus San Francisco, and not always feeling like we were equalized. And being remote first, location agnostic really was important to us. And the virtual environment really helped us step up our game in that. We needed also to tap into our talents. We're naturally scrappy, but we didn't have a lot of resources. We didn't have more budget. We had to do great things with even less. And we had to up the fun factor. We knew that if we would do that, that would really help us. And we had to, sometimes when you get really busy, you forget, believe it or not, to have fun and to pause and have fun. We also knew that we needed to really improve the way we were onboarding people. We've hired 20 people this year, new people to our community, to our culture, and how do we really welcome them in? And all of this we were hoping, but strategizing and our best thinking was leading to greater trust and empathy, greater collaboration, which is so critical in our business, and ultimately resilience and well-being. So some tangible things there and intangibles were a piece of they were a part of what we were going after. And with that, we really came up with 5 areas that we continue to focus on today. And they're in an order of what we started with and we've been layering these things on as we've gone through the last 7 months. And we're going to talk more through each of these, what we're doing. But let's kick it off with the structured well-being activities, Jamie, because that's where we started.
We did. And again, when we started these well-being activities, we thought this was maybe going to go to May. So this was, the micro events that we created. So these micro events are quick, agile, speedy daily gatherings, and they're tailored around Gallup's 5 essential elements of well-being, right? So focusing around career, financial, physical, community, really that kind of inspired us to create these micro moments throughout the week. So Monday, we started off with like a mindfulness Monday session, whether that's a meditation, a breathing exercise, just a quick pause to start off the week. And something special too about our Scoop Peeps, it's what we call our Skupos employees, but Scoop Peeps is way better, of tapping into their inner strengths as well. So one of our employees is a incredible meditation instructor and teacher. And so she actually volunteered a few times to do a meditation for our company. And then Tuesday, we do taco. Luckily, or unfortunately, there's not tacos or margs, but maybe sometime. So where our CEO brings a guest on, and it's like a podcast, 30-minute back and forth Q&A. And that's been really great attendance and something people look forward to. And then Wednesday, tapping into wellness, right? So around whether that's yoga or streaming a workout, or again, that's another, TED Talk pause for us to really dive in and see how can we up the overall wellness of the human. And then Thursday, virtual cheers. Actually, last week we did a bingo, which was pretty fun. And then Fridays, we'll have a macro event, which we'll talk into in the next column, or also our town hall. And again, Julie, when we started this, we were doing these, daily from March until about May. But then we really had to pause and see, hey, why is the attendance maybe going down? Are people really experiencing Zoom fatigue? We moved into a different chapter. And so now we really feel what the organization needs each week. And so maybe we'll do all of these events, or we'll do 2 or 3 of them, really just staying in tune with the quality and the expectations of our team. And then macro events. So Scoochella, I don't know if anyone's been to Coachella. I'm trying to be cool. I'm 30. I actually haven't, but it's a play on Coachella. So it's bringing in musicians within the company to perform, and then also Painting with Richard, right? So these are just all free and easy events that you can throw for your team. That again is more interactive than just a Zoom meeting and you maybe having a cocktail. We also did a wine tasting with Julie and our CTO Happy, and that was a really great interactive event as well. And then trivia nights, we all love Friends in the office. Of course, there's prizes too, which is helpful. And then hot ones, where our founders did hot wings eating contest, where they like amp up the spice level. You should definitely Google it on YouTube. It's pretty fun. And then of course, we've really stayed close, Julie, myself, and our CEO, Jake, who's wildly supportive of all of these well-being activities, into all company wellness or recharge days. So we did do one in June, and we're planning on doing another one in October. That was a full slide. Okay.
That was.
A lot of going on.
Now let's go to where the magic happens.
So there's really, yes, it's great to have events. Yes, it's great to send out amazing swag. We all love getting that Patagonia jacket, but this is the secret sauce, right? It is the pausing, and it is the small acts of human kindness. So these are the personal, private, surprise delights moments of thoughtfulness. So, really staying in tune with your team around, what are they going through? Is there any personal family illness or tragedies that are popping up? And how do we send small surprise and delights, or small, thank you notes, or, flowers, just anything micro that can really help with that belonging of the employee into Skupos, that they're more than just an employee, they're a human. So we did do, birthday, anniversary recognition, of course, swag and care packages. That was really well received. But the big takeaway from this is little things truly make a big difference. And I think when people think about community in their workplace, they go to this. What do you think, Julie?
I really do. I think, and this is that piece of relationship, right? We know that we're working hard and we're focused on deliverables. This particular moment is a critical moment to just kind of touch home base of like who we are and why we're here. And so I love the human kindness piece. I mean, that is a piece that we don't often talk about, and it's such an important ingredient in our menu of options here. Yeah. So let me run through. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, it does look like Kate had a question. She just raised her hand on that last slide. So
yeah,
she just wanted to pause and see
about attendance falling off these events over time. And so go ahead. The short answer is yes, they have. But say a little bit more about that, Jamie.
Yeah, so absolutely. We've seen, attendance, I think in the beginning, people were trying to figure out their routine at home, right? And like they were grasping for any social connection. So we did see a higher attendance. And now I really think we've moved more into intentional, purposeful programming or events and these smaller acts of human kindness. So really trying to personalize as much as possible, and also honing in on the teams that really need it, right? So we've seen maybe CX and sales who have been needing more support around collaboration. And so really honing in on that instead of maybe doing it for the whole 140 employees, but how do we get more specific and more intentional with that? And we are going to do a Q&A for 15 minutes after this that I'm happy to go in more detail with.
That's great. Thank you. The other component that we started to add in more deliberately was the leadership buy-in piece. And this is a part of that being more strategic and how do we bring in the notion of in a community rallies around something important, and how do we make that rallying cry in our organization and really support even greater collaboration. It's through collaboration that we're really going to innovate in our business. And it's also the relationship piece that we talked about in community. So what we've done, and we've done it now, this is going into Q4, this will be our second quarter, is that of the 4 company-wide objectives, one of those objectives is around collaboration. And we're using Culture Amp as a part of our culture and engagement survey methodology and strategy. And so we are measuring the degree to which we can move the needle here. And we've done some pivots and had some learnings along the way about that, but wanted to make sure that that we shared this, because I think this is a key ingredient, because every team is going to have and has had a cross-functional collaboration goal. And now all of a sudden we're all in this together.
Absolutely. Great. And with that, as Julie mentioned earlier in the program, we've onboarded 20 new Scoop Peeps since March. So we've really realized how we needed to elevate our onboarding, especially in this virtual environment. So really creating an engaging employee experience. It's kind of all hands on deck, right, Julie? We have L&D jumping in, we have people ops in. Our CEO, he actually does he's one of the founders. He does a founding story for every single new cohort class. So really creating connection quickly within their first 2 days at Skupos. I've received some really great, feedback, qualitative feedback from the new hires, which has been great just to reassure that our elevation is continuing there. We also do send surprise swag packages prior to their start date. I think that really gets them excited and makes a big splash into Skupos. And again, I'm scrappy and resourceful with it. We haven't spent any more money on the swag. It's just getting resourceful, cleaning out those closets and seeing what golf balls, wine openers do you have? And they're Skupos branded. And that's been a really great employee touch, I would say, Julie.
Absolutely. This is another strategic lever that is important to focus on. And the last one that we've been working really hard on, I think, in the last 6 to 8 weeks, is this is the perfect time to expand our perspective. With everything going on in our world, outside of our work world, it is important for us to continue to be better as humans, to be more understanding, more compassionate, to really learn more about ourselves. And so we're doing that in a variety of ways. You can see that from really robust resources around social and racial justice and injustices, mental health resources, resources for parents. So really extensive resources there. A bit of community service has been happening for us in Q3, and Jamie will talk a little bit more about that going forward. But really the highlight, I think, also for us in the last few months has been the Inclusivity Speaker Series. So a very casual kind of live podcast, internally focused fireside chat with someone who is different from us, who is bringing another voice to the table that we want to know more about. And we've been doing that on a monthly basis, and it has been wildly effective. So those are the 5 things. I mean, I think it's a pretty, when you put it down on paper, it's like, yeah, that's quite a bit.
I know. I just wish we had this roadmap back in March, but we've created it now 7 months later.
That's right.
So, good enough. Great. And then also we've seen some early results, right? We're a data focused company. So we have seen 5% increase in engagement. And this is again through the Culture AMP surveys. And this one was something that Julie and I, honestly, we didn't expect, but a 20% increase in confidence in leadership, which has been amazing to see that. And I think it's also recognition to the Skupos leaders, their involvement amongst activities and supporting our teams, and really just treating them like the human beings that they are, especially during this pandemic and turbulent times. So with that, Julie, what is next? Can you predict
what's
the future?
Next? Can we possibly get out our magic 8 ball and spin it around? Here are some things that we're thinking about. What does the future of work for us look like? Workspaces, location strategies, talent strategies. How bold do we want to be here? What's going to be necessary to be really competitive in a new world? How do we interact and collaborate? Do we need to make any changes? We've been kind of band-aiding a lot of things to be as collaborative as possible, but do we have the structures and tools necessary? I think that's something we could definitely look at for the future.
Great. And then up-leveling in service and community impact. So something that we are going to launch for Q4 is a SKU Cares campaign. So really focusing around how can we impact our local communities of San Francisco and Denver. And that actually was inspired, Julie, when we have a corporate apartment in Denver, and again, no one's flying anymore. So we got out of that lease, and we actually were connected with an incredible local family where we were able to donate all the furniture from that corporate apartment. So that kind of inspired this, how do we continue virtual social good and impact safely through Q4. So really excited about that future. And then again, just emphasizing belonging as the ultimate superpower in this crazy world that we live in. Great. And then Julie, you want to bring us home with an amazing Dalai Lama quote?
That's right. Where do you go when you're talking about community and talking about the things, well-being and the things that we've been talking about? So we'd like to leave you with this. We human beings are social beings. We come into the world as the result of others' actions. We survive here in dependence on others. Whether we like it or not, there's hardly a moment in our lives when we do not benefit from others' activities. For this reason, it's hardly surprising that most of our happiness arises in the context of our relationships with others. Thank you, Dalai Lama, for that. That is kind of a mic drop for me. And again, a reminder of that relationship piece is perhaps the key ingredient for an out of this world community. What do you think, Jamie?
Yeah, absolutely. And, we just thank you for your time today, and may you find ways to bring a sense of community into your daily lives. And as cheesy as it is, but we hope that you can honor the inner superhero in you. For we know we will all need it for the rest of 2020. We still have 4 more months. Yeah. And thank you, everyone. We'll stick around for about 15 minutes for any questions. We'll answer in the chat or live. So thank you, everybody.
Yeah. We do have a question from Cassie. Did we answer this question?
Ooh.
From Cassie around scaling up small acts of kindness. Serving a condo building of 334 units. Yes.
Yeah,
what's your
that's
thought? Because I think you hit on it a little bit in there, but maybe we could highlight that just a little bit.
Yeah, great question, Cassie. I think I don't want to say prioritizing, but I think you gotta, right? You gotta see kind of where, who maybe is the most struggling, or who maybe needs it the most. I think that's something that we've just seen really in tuned with our employee base, and asking managers and leaders. So maybe it's asking your employees in that community space of, hey, has anyone heard of anything, a way that we can surprise and delight someone today? So I think it's starting out that way. That could be helpful, but also feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. And I would love to brainstorm for 30 minutes on ways that we can scale. Because it is, I think those micro moments, there are companies that can scale, but again, we've done usually human to human. I'm working on that.
And you might figure out where to start with that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's something that maybe you're just doing one thing. Maybe it's birthdays and anniversary kind of thing.
Yeah.
And just start there, and not try to tackle too much with it, because you could be a one-person shop too, and that would be, it's hard to take all that on.
Yeah.
We're getting some great questions. So I just want to offer anyone who doesn't feel like we really got to the meat of your question and you want to talk through some things, reach out to us on LinkedIn, either one of us, and we'll be happy to, get on a Zoom call for 15 minutes and talk through some things. But let's look at advice in getting the C-suite involved in the team activities. Mm-hmm. So one of the things that we've done that I think that has worked well is that we've found out a passion for each of the C-suite leaders. So I have a passion for wine. Happy has a passion for wine. So what do we create? A wine tasting. And so now all of a sudden we're hosting that particular activity. So just that might be something to think about. Any other thoughts, Jamie, on getting them involved?
Yeah, I think also working with, maybe this is too basic, but working with their EA, right? To see if they have availability, or, hey, do you mind scheduling this into their calendar? I'm sure he or she would love to attend. And then also our VP of marketing was actually Christine, one of my inspirations around the Scoop Cares campaign. She and I were just slacking one day talking about, impact in the community. And then we both, started a doc, and that's how that's going to evolve. So I think it's really figuring out what, their passions and connections to the community are. And then trying to make it as easy as possible too. Like for the hot ones, for co-founders, like, we had ordered the wings, they were on the door. We made sure they had like 10 minutes before the meeting. So I think just making it really easy, plug and play is also helpful.
Great question. Thank you. Daniel, another good question. This is a tough one. We're starting to see more and more burnout, right? It's a word that's been coming up now for the last quarter, and I obviously will continue to be a challenge. Zoom fatigue, burnout, and what are your thoughts here? I think one of the things that we've done, and I don't know that everybody can do it, is sometimes, even with a massive backlog, it's important to make sure that people are taking time off. And I know that not everybody has the luxury of doing that, but it is really, if we're in this for the long haul, this is no longer a short sprint, this is a marathon. So in that marathon, we need to make sure that people have that they're nourishing their bodies, they're eating, they're hydrating, they're sleeping, that they have the things that they need to be at a, optimum level all the time. And sometimes that means taking a day off. And so we've, every quarter now, we've been doing a Skupos Wellbeing day off. And so not all of us take the same day off. It's usually 2 days that we get to choose from, so for business continuity. But sometimes it is important to pause, take some time off, and then get back into the backlog. What's your thought, Jamie, on that?
Yeah, great question, Daniel. I think, that's all in our minds all the time. And only other thing would be to really dive into the backlog and see how we can prioritize. I think that's something that we've done at Skupos is, maybe in Q2, we had 5 or 6 big projects or priorities, and our, C-suite has really we've not dwindled them down, but really just figured out what is the one thing that we need to achieve to make this happen. So I would really pause and see how we can reprioritize, and also, does everyone know what the priorities are? I think sometimes in a remote work environment, especially, you can be all thinking that you're working on the correct things, but maybe you're all working on 4 or 5 different projects. So I would also pause and look at that and make sure that we're all focused on the North Star to make sure that we're tackling the right thing.
Yeah, sometimes those items on the backlog are things that you want to get to, but they're not absolutely necessary given whatever the goals are for this particular quarter. So it's about making trade-off decisions in this, which is sometimes hard to make. Excellent question. I think we had a question from Nancy. It was in the chat, and I don't know if advice on implementing great ideas if it's been difficult to be heard by leadership or to get buy-ins. I don't know if it's similar to the C-suite or a little bit different. Is there anything else that we might share around being heard by leadership?
Well, one thing that I did do that I'm happy to share is, I created a menu. I think menu options are really helpful because you're giving leaders who are already really, really busy, but you're just giving them a menu of options to choose from. So I'd be happy to share that with you, Nancy. I'll take down your email address. But that's been helpful because then leadership can choose which one really resonates with them. And then I can implement that for their team. Again, and it's more individualized, but it's already plug and play, ready to go for the leader. What do you think on that, Julie? Do you think that's been a good solution?
Yeah, I think that's a good reminder to that, because all the things that we do at the macro level that we do for everyone, what you've been able to do is to scale that down to an individual team or to 2 teams. And so the way to kind of get buy-in sometimes is to find leaders who are ready, who have a problem that needs solving, and trying to figure out a creative solution to that. Sometimes it is some sort of virtual event, whether it's bingo, whether it is any of those items that are on the menu. And that is a way to build readiness with leaders and is to help them solve their team issue. And so focus there, and sometimes don't focus on the big group, because it's hard to know what to do sometimes with the big group.
Yeah. But Nancy, that's a great question. And that's, I think, what we're really focused on. Like for the marketing team, the leader reached out and I'm doing a Myers-Briggs test and then bring facilitation of them together to help continue to build like their strengths and how they get together as a team. So I think it's figuring out, what that problem is, and then how do I provide that solution for their teams that are ready. Great call, Julie.
I think we have one more question. How to make this work with a small startup company with not much budget, which I think we do end up in that category of no budget. One office is in the US, one is abroad. So time difference makes it hard to do a full team. Actually, I've struggled with time zones in the past, especially international time zones. What's your thought here?
Yeah. I think for me, honestly, I haven't really spent really any money on these events. So I think it's getting creative, looking at resources that you have available. Like I use Kahoot for trivia. So feel free to reach out to me. I have a whole list of kind of programming that's helped me become more efficient. There is also actually this great email that might be good for different time zones. It's called Water Cooler Trivia. And I think it's very minimal cost, but you can send an email. They send a trivia question or a trivia like 10 questions every Monday, and then your team can fill it out at their convenience. So that might be helpful for different time zones. And then you could do like an exciting like first, second, third place winner for the water cooler trivia. So I think there's definitely some creative ways that you can bring people together in that way. Or do they send photos of their pets? Like something that I've been working on is making a Skupos like dog bandana and cat. We're very equal with both animals here. But and then I'm going to send out the bandanas and we're going to do a best in show event in October. So then people can take pictures of their cat or their dog. And then I can put it together on like a kudos board or some sort of board. So maybe those are a few solutions that I'm kind of thinking through, Julie, for that one.
Yeah, and I was thinking how we use Slack, right? Yeah. We have a pets channel. We have a random channel. So random channel is where we do birthday greetings, Skupoversary, so anniversary greetings as well. And you've been doing polling on there, like what if questions, would you rather this or that? And so just those little things start to engage people, and they can be on any time zone for when you're using something like Slack.
Yeah. Great question.
Well, this has been great. Thank you. I've enjoyed partnering with you on this. Thank you.
Oh, yes, Julie. You're welcome. And next week's one-on-one's just not going to be as fun as this, but we'll try it again.
We need to invite the folks back, everybody back. Well, thank you everyone for joining us. Feel free to connect with us on LinkedIn, and we're happy to share any of the resources and tips and tricks that we have. Also, we'd love to learn your learnings as well. This is just our approach, and we're learning every day with it. And we'd love to know what else we could be thinking about.
Well, thank you, DSW. It's been such a great day or great 45 minutes, and have a great rest of your Thursday, everybody.
Thank you.